Good evening to all. We are going to have our invocation given this evening by Pastor Moses Woodruff Jr. of Riverdale First United Methodist Church of Riverdale, be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would, please stand with me.
Let us pray. Most holy God, we gather this evening to conduct your affairs for your people, the people of Clayton County. We know that you've appointed leaders like these commissioners and supporting personnel to govern over us, to govern with us, and to govern for us. For these leaders, as a representative of your clergy, I want to say thank you for them. Thank you for offering them to us, and thank you for offering themselves for us. Thank you also, God, for the administration and all of the workers of this county. Thank you for the first responders, fire, police, and emergency personnel. And in the midst of so much national conversation about policing, may our protectors show forth the way, a way to things being done decently and in order, and in a way for things being done in the name of justice and righteousness. May our commissioners show forth a way to foster enterprise and a way to take care of the least of these. We look to you, O God. In prosperous times, we look to you. In harsh times, we look to you, the creator of us all. We not only look to you, but we see you, we feel you, and we know of your presence with us, and that gives us confidence to go on. So we meet under your umbrella. Sit with us for a while as we deliberate. Be our God forevermore. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening to everyone. Prior to the adoption of the agenda, I would ask the board if anyone has any amendments to offer.
Madam Clerk, I would like to ask the board, the staff and I would like to remove RFP package 1460, the Clayton County Police Department Uniforms Annual Contract, from this evening's agenda. There are several questions that the staff and I would like to have addressed before we present this for a vote next meeting, and I would like to have that done by consensus if there's any objection.
That's fine.
No objection.
Okay.
With there being no objections, item number 7, subsection 5, the RFB package 14-60, Clayton County Police Department Uniforms Annual Contract has been removed. With that removal, we may now have an adoption of the agenda.
Madam Clerk, I'd also like to ask that we hold the appointment to the Tax Assessors Board over to the next meeting.
Any board member have an objection to that? All right, hearing none. Madam Clerk, by consensus.
Okay. That is item number 23 on page number 6, the appointment for the Tax Assessors Board. That item has been removed. Are there any others? Hearing none, we may have a motion to adopt the agenda with those two removals.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the agenda with the two noted changes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Probably moved in second. Those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Approval of the November 18, 2014 regular business meeting minutes.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the November 18, 2014 regular business meeting minutes.
I'll second it. Properly moved in second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, we do not have anyone listed for public comments this evening. So we will move right into the proclamation for the Winter Weather Preparedness Week.
That's gotta be it.
Do have representatives present, as well as Fire Chief and EMA Director Landry Murkison present this evening. If you would, please, if you'll come forward, as well as anyone else that's present. As they come forward, I would ask the commissioners to rise from their seats at the table and join them for the presentation of the proclamation.
All right, group, on the count of three. 1, 2, and 3. Again, 1, 2, 3. Very good.
Please remain standing for the reading of the proclamation. And the proclamation reads thusly: whereas Clayton County is vulnerable to extreme cold and winter storms that can bring snow and ice, sleet, and freezing rain, which can damage property, disrupt travel, and cause power outages, as was seen in January and February of 2014. And whereas winter storms are considered deceptive killers because most deaths are indirectly related to the storm. Instead, most people die in traffic accidents, on icy roads, and of hypothermia from prolonged exposure to the cold. And whereas Clayton County Fire and Emergency Services has formed a severe weather task force, including the Clayton County Chief Operating Officer, Clayton County Police Department, Clayton County Sheriff's Office, Clayton County Transportation and Development, Clayton County Building and Maintenance, Clayton County Information Technology, Clayton County Access Television, Clayton County Senior Services, Clayton County Correctional Institute, Clayton County Board of Health, Clayton County Board of Education, Southern Regional Medical Center, and Georgia Power. And whereas the purpose of this task force is to ensure the timely and accurate distribution of emergency information to responders and the public, and to prevent and respond to winter weather emergencies by formulating response strategies using best practices and from lessons learned during previous incidents. And whereas all Clayton County citizens are encouraged to prepare and plan for winter weather conditions by winterizing their homes, learn the terms used to identify winter weather, making a family communications plan, prepare a ready kit of emergency supplies for their homes and cars, minimizing travel, and bringing pets indoors. Whereas Clayton County Emergency Management Agency's ReadyClayton.com website provides winter weather preparedness tips as well as preparedness information for all types of emergencies. Also, the Georgia Emergency Management Agency, GEMA, maintains a Ready Georgia public relations campaign that encourages residents to complete a personal profile on the Ready Georgia website at ready.ga.gov. And whereas Clayton County Emergency Management recommends all citizens download the Ready Georgia app from the Ready Georgia website to your smartphones. It offers Clayton County residents geo-targeted severe weather and emergency alerts, traffic information, and an enhanced shelters map that displays the location location of open Red Cross shelters and warming centers, along with directions from the user's current location. Now, therefore, I, Jeffrey E. Turner, Chairman, on behalf of the Clayton County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim December 1st through the 5th, 2014 as Winter Weather Preparedness Week in Clayton County, Georgia, and urge all Clayton County citizens to educate themselves and others about the dangers of winter weather and to always be prepared. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Clayton County, Georgia, to be affixed this second day of December in the year 2014. Jeffrey E. Turner, Chairman. We will now consider requests of Ramona Thurman, interim purchasing agent of Central Services.
Ms. Thurman, please take them all together.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I have 10 items for your consideration this evening. The first item is sports photography services for Clayton County Parks and Recreation annual contract. Second amendment request for additional services for Senior Services Department. Central Services requests to amend the current annual contract with Score Photo Incorporated for additional photography services needed by Senior Services Department. The Board of Commissioners approved this bid on April 10th, 2012. I request you approve the recommendation, authorize the chairman or his designee to execute all necessary documents to accomplish the intent of the contract, and to authorize the Chief Financial Officer to amend the budget accordingly. The next item is Clayton County 2014 Miscellaneous Sidewalk Improvements, Commission Districts 3 and 4. The Director of Transportation's recommendation is to award a contract to C&C Lovejoy LLC. This recommendation is based upon the lowest responsive bidder meeting the specifications in the amount of $456,311. Funding is available through the 2009 SPLOST funds. I request you approve the recommendation, authorize the chairman or his designee to execute all necessary documents to accomplish the intent of the contract, and to authorize the Chief Financial Officer to amend the budget accordingly. Clayton County Traffic Engineering Sign Truck. The Director of Transportation's recommendation is to issue a contract to Peach State Ford Truck Sales. This recommendation is based upon the lowest responsive bidder meeting the specifications of Transportation and Development. The amount is $118,306. Funding is available through the 2009 SPLOST funds. I request you approve the recommendation, authorize the chairman or his designee to execute all necessary documents to accomplish the intent of the contract, and authorize the Chief Financial Officer to amend the budget accordingly. Clayton County Transportation and Development Ready Mix Concrete Supply Annual Contract. The Director of Transportation and Development recommendation is to issue a contract to Walker Concrete Company, LLC. This recommendation is based upon the lowest responsive bidder meeting the specifications. Funding is available through the 2009 SPLOST funds. I request you approve the recommendation, authorize the chairman or his designee to execute all necessary documents to accomplish the intent of the contract, and authorize the Chief Financial Officer to amend the budget accordingly. The next item is an RFQ for asbestos inspection and testing services annual contract. The Director's recommendation is to renew the contract with GLE Associates. The renewal period will be from December 1, 2014 to November 30, 2015. This is the final renewal on this contract. The original agreement was executed on December 4, 2012. I request you approve the recommendation, authorize the chairman or his designee to execute all necessary documents to accomplish the intent of the contract, and authorize the Chief Financial Officer to amend the budget accordingly. RFQ for as-built survey and demolition plan for HUD request for informal written quote approval. The director's recommendation is to award a service contract in the amount of $18,900 to WLB Associates Incorporated. Funding is available through the Community Development Building Grant Funds. I request you approve the recommendation, authorize the chairman or his designee to execute all necessary documents to accomplish the intent of the contract, and authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget accordingly. Purchase of DCR Digital Court Audio Video Recording System. Software, hardware installation and training. This is requested by the Court Administration Department to extend the current digital court recording systems already in place in the Superior Court to 5 state courtrooms. The Court Administrator's recommendation is to approve this purchase in the amount of $33,820 from BIS Digital Incorporated, whose company is a sole source supplier for the digital court recording system. Funding is available through the State Court Systems Technology Funds. I request you approve the recommendation, authorize the chairman or his designee to execute all necessary documents to accomplish the intent of the contract, and authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget accordingly. The next item is purchase of Palatine software for an electronic warrant and first appearance system. This is requested by the Sheriff and Police Department in addition to the Magistrate Court. The Assistant Deputy Chief, Police Chief, and Judge Dallas's recommendation is to approve this purchase in the amount of $66,985 from Palatine Technology Group, whose company is a sole source supplier for the sales and maintenance service on the software requested. Funding is available through the Sheriff's General Funds, Police Department State Drug Funds, and the Magistrate Court General Funds. I request you approve the recommendation, authorize the chairman or his designee to execute all necessary documents to accomplish the intent of the contract, and authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget accordingly. The next item is a request for the Board of Commissioners approval to utilize National Joint Powers Alliance, utilizing Shredded USA to provide shredding services for various county departments. This service is for on-site shredding services throughout the county for a period of 1 year. Funding is available through the various departments' request. I request you approve the recommendation, authorize the chairman or his designee to execute all necessary documents to accomplish the intent of the contract, and authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget accordingly. The last item is a request to renew the county's fiduciary liability insurance for the period December 22nd, 2014 through December 22nd, 2015. The fiduciary liability insurance provides coverage for claims alleging breach of duty in the administration of the pension, deferred compensation, or employee benefit plans. This includes coverage for any negligent act, error, or omission in informing employees of the content of any sponsored and insured benefit plans. Those persons covered include the county's past, present, and future elected officials, trustees, employees, and others who are involved with these plans. The current year's premium is $26,596. The renewal premium amount is $28,815, which represents an 8% increase in the premium.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll make the second. Probably moved and second. Are there any questions on any of the items?
I do. RFB Package 1453. Okay. In the memo, it says that this is for Peach State Ford truck sales located in Forest Park. In the documentation, it says Peach State Freightliner, and they are not located in Forest Park. Well, let's deal with the name first. It's Peach State Freightliner.
It says Freightliner for
But the contract
says Peach State. I need to pull and look at the, because I don't have the bid here. It says Peach State for truck sales.
Commissioner, do you think that's a
We don't have a
Scrivener's area,
copy.
or are there two different companies?
Two different companies?
We don't have a copy of the bid with us. We can remove this and bring it back at the next meeting to get clarification on why the two names are different, or if they're the same company, operating up under a parent company.
The bid documents say Peach State Freightliner.
Peach State Freightliner.
The memo also says Peach State Freightliner. That should say Peach State Freightliner, not Peach State Ford Truck Sales, yeah. The memo should not say Peach State Ford Truck Sales, it should say Freightliner.
Scribers there.
So, yes.
Okay.
And so that is what the memo says on the back.
Okay, and it also says they're a Forest Park company. The Secretary of State's website notes that they're in Norcross.
Let me see if their business license is in here and see what it
It's a
says.
Gwinnett business license. They don't have a Clayton County
don't have a
business
Clayton County
license.
business license.
So if they have a business located in Clayton County, wouldn't they need a business license from Clayton County?
I would think they would, yes. Yes, at the
That's a service center, is the Forest Park location.
Everything in our documentation says Forest Park. Everything
that's
on
what
the
was included in the
internet
bid
says
packet as well.
Gwinnett.
But why don't we pull this and so we can do some further research and get some answers to those questions?
Hold on a
If that's
second,
the board's
Mr.
pleasure.
Jicky, do you have anything to add or any insight on this?
I just heard my name.
Okay, all right.
No, he heard business license.
At least you came
That's-
running, so I'm good with that. You came running,
He
so
heard
I'm
business
good.
license.
It was a question about the business license. If at the board's pleasure, we can remove this and bring it back at the next meeting.
I move to amend the motion to pull RFP package 1453 until further research.
Second.
Probably moved in second. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
One last question. I'm sorry. On the sole source purchase software for the electronic warrant and first appearance system, the funding is available through the Sheriff's General Funds, Police Department State Drug Funds, and the Magistrate Court General Funds. How do we designate how it comes out of each individual's funding source?
I think we're gonna split it equally amongst the three entities.
Three of them, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that was it.
Commissioner Edmondson, you have some?
I have just a small question or two. Item number 7, the RFP for as-built for the, I noticed it says that it should be done within the work should be done within 90 days of the notice to proceed. So a couple questions, and this might be a Mr. GK question. Just quickly, when do you expect the notice to proceed to be issued? And what is the timeline for the next step?
And we are hoping that the notice to proceed is issued as soon as sometime this week after this approval.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And then after the design work is done, what is the next step after that?
Well, this process is to give the county a good idea of what it is we're going to be bidding for the demolition and the cleanup. As you know, the county is requesting for an extension of 1 year from the courts to do this. So we're going to move as expeditiously as possible to make sure we don't go back to the court to ask for any more extensions.
Okay, so sometime between 90 days and a year, we think,
Well,
to completion?
I don't know because the exact time for demolition and cleanup has to do with when they respond to the bid package. Then we'll find out what the project timeline is. As you
Okay.
know, it's a big site.
Sure. So it's reasonable to say that within 90 days after the notice to proceed, that as-built will have their design guidelines done, we'll be able to put together a committee, a bid, and subject to the consideration of this board, have something started by the end of the year? By the end of 2015?
Yes, yeah. Yes, for sure.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay.
That's my only question on that. One other question, and Ms. Thurman, this may be for you. The final item, number 10 or 11, the increase in the fiduciary liability insurance. Could you elaborate for my benefit about the facts? Is this a group rate or class increase? I was of the impression that our pension was overfunded, and if that's the case, did we put this out to bid?
This is the company that we've always, I'm not gonna say this company we've always used, but this is the company that provides all of our, that provides the insurance for this. And we submitted a request for a renewal. I don't believe it was put out for bid. Ms. Walker is not here, so I can't confirm that. But she is the one that negotiated, worked with the insurance companies to get, to come to this rate. And one of the reasons for the rate increase excuse me, is because we've had an increase in the total assets under management of the retirement plans, and the overall experience for these type of policies as a group has deteriorated over the last few years, causing our premium rate to increase again this year. Apparently it increased last year. I would have to check to make sure because I wasn't involved in this process last year, but I don't know what the previous year's
And
rate
that
was.
what you just read off of there is what raised my question.
Right.
An 8% increase after another increase, if our pension is overfunded, if we're not putting this out to bid, how do we know we're getting the best deal? And if it's a class rate increase, it doesn't say that.
Well, it's not just for pension fund. Also, it covers our deferred compensation and our employee benefits plan, all of our health insurance, dental insurance, life insurance, all of those as well. So it's not just for the pension plan. It's for all of our employee benefits, including the pension plan.
Okay. If you could ask Ms. Miller, I'd like to know why we didn't put it out to bid.
I will.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have something, it's really not a question, it's a suggestion. When looking through these, and if you want to pinpoint like number 6 or number 5, you have to scroll all the way down, and I think I saw something like 400 and something pages. Is there a better way we can get to the documentation on each one of these than what we have now?
On the, you talking about on the board's website?
That's an IT question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's something we can get with Mr. Lavender on,
Okay.
try to simplify the process. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, since you mentioned that, we'll wait. Actually, mine is more closely related to something else, so I'll wait till we get there. Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will continue on with the request of Ramona Thurman, Chief Financial Officer.
Okay, I think I only have 3 items for your consideration this evening under this section. Budget Amendment 2-12, State Narcotics Condemnation Fund, to amend the budget in the amount of $24,000 to facilitate the purchase of hardware and software for the contractual e-warrant system for the police department. 4-67 is for 2009 SPLOST to amend the budget in the amount of $456,311 for funding for the miscellaneous sidewalk improvement projects in Commission Districts 3 and 4, RFB number 14-52. And the last item is a request for a refund in the amount of $24,645.90 to Lufthansa Cargo. This is refunding back taxes to them. Federal law precludes the imposition of a gross receipts tax on this particular business class.
Is there a motion? I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Probably moved in second. Any questions on any of the 3 items?
I have one.
Commissioner
On the
Rhodes.
last one for the refund, how long have we been taxing in this manner?
Mr. GK is coming back to answer that question. I believe I heard him get up.
He heard his name.
Exactly. Why don't you just have a seat up front?
Yes, we've been taxing them for a while. This is an obscure law, obscure federal law that we really didn't know about in the county. that was going on. So all the freight carriers, for some reason, figured out that the county owed them some money. So they started coming back. And this has been going on for a while, and we've kind of delayed it as much as we can, trying to hang on to the money, but it was time to pay them.
How many more do we have to pay back?
We've paid 2. Cafe Pacific was one of them, and this is Lufthansa. We are actually treating it as they come, because it requires a lot of research to see they're not getting all the funds they are requesting, because we had to deal with some of aspects of it that actually comes to us. And we're only refunding what we are not supposed to be tasking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you.
The board will now consider the request submitted by Christy Barnes, Chief Staff Attorney.
Mr. Chairman, now let me bring up this issue I was talking about. This week, the resolutions are all pretty clear, but sometimes they're so vague, and I end up having to call you and say, what exactly is this doing? And my question to the board is, if when we talk about transparency, when this agenda is sent out to the public, can we find a way, for the clerk to actually simplify and just say more so everybody could understand what this resolution is doing?
You mean from the agenda?
Yes.
You mean just reading the agenda?
Right. I mean, when it's sent out, when the agenda is sent out on Friday, what way can we make these resolutions simpler, simplify them so that.
319 is an example, is a good example, because I've had to call you several times, too.
And and I know it takes up your time, busy time, when you have to explain this, but if it's simplified so that we can understand it and any citizen who sees it can understand what it's doing.
Maybe like a 1 or 2 sentence abstract at
Yeah,
the beginning of it.
exactly.
This does this or that
Right.
does that.
That should not be a problem.
Okay.
We'll work with the clerk, and when we are putting together the captions for each ordinance or resolution, we'll also include a summary, a
Good.
brief summary of what the purpose of it is,
Okay.
or the intent.
Thank you.
We'll work on that.
All right, please take them all together.
First is ordinance number 2014-314, which is an ordinance to amend the Code of Clayton County, Georgia as amended, specifically Chapter 2, Administration, Article 4, Purchases and Property Disposition, Section 2-147, Disposal of Unserviceable Property, so as to add a new Section C thereto relating to disposal of public safety uniforms, to repeal conflicting laws, ordinances, and resolutions, to provide severability, to provide an effective date of this ordinance, and for other purposes. Resolution number 2014-315 is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of one condemned vehicle to be assigned to the Clayton County Police Department fleet in a manner as will be in the best interest of the county, to authorize the directors of central services and fleet maintenance to perform all acts required by this resolution, to provide an effective date of this resolution, and for other purposes. This is for a 2004 Nissan Maxima. Resolution number 2014-316 is a resolution to rescind any landfill rates set by the Clayton County Board of Commissioners, to authorize the chairman to execute all documents and otherwise perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to provide an effective date of this resolution, and for other purposes. Resolution number 2014-317 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to dispose of 20 abandoned firearms in the manner required by law and pursuant to an order from Clayton County Superior Court, to authorize the sale of such property in a manner as will be in the best interest of the county, to provide for the disbursal of sale proceeds, to authorize the chairman to execute any necessary documents, and otherwise to perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, all as may be required, to provide an effective date of this resolution, and for other purposes. Resolution number 2014-318 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to accept the donation of a Wheelan Liberty 2 LED emergency light bar, serial number 1001, from Dana Safety Supply for use by the Clayton County Police Department, to authorize the chairman to accept the donation on behalf of Clayton County, to execute any documents necessary, and otherwise perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, all as may be required, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. Ordinance number 2014-319 is an ordinance to amend the Code of Clayton County, Georgia as amended, specifically the Code of Clayton County, Georgia, Part 2, Chapter 18, Buildings and Building Code Regulations, Article 1 in general, by repealing and deleting the existing Section 18-1 applicability and substituting in lieu thereof a new Section 18-1 applicability, and to amend Chapter 18, Buildings and Building Code Regulations, Article 7, Code Amendments, by repealing and deleting the existing Section 18-72, International Property Maintenance Code, and substituting in lieu thereof a new Section 18-72, International Property Maintenance Code, to repeal conflicting laws, ordinances, and resolutions, to provide for severability, to provide an effective date of this ordinance, and for other purposes. Resolution number 2014-320 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to accept a forfeited vehicle from a Clayton County Police Department drug investigation, to authorize the sale of such property in a manner as will be in the best interest of the county, to provide for the disbursal of sale proceeds, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. This is a 1995 Dodge Ram truck, 1500. Resolution number 2014-321 is a resolution to correct a scrivener's error in resolution number 2014-304, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. This will ultimately correct a tract and parcel of land as it pertains to the Godby Road Widening Improvement Project, to reflect that it is parcel 5161 Hanover Street, tax parcel number 16. Resolution number 2014-322 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to enter into an agreement for information technology and programming services with MoonQuest Incorporated, to authorize the hourly compensation for staff, to authorize the chairman to execute the agreement and otherwise to perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of the resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, all as may be required under the terms of the agreement, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. And resolution number 2014-323 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County on behalf of the Clayton County Parks and Recreation Department to grant a special facility use request to allow State Senator Gail Davenport to host the second annual Veterans Family Appreciation Day for Clayton County veterans and their families at the South Clayton Recreation Center, to authorize the chairman to perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. This event will be held Saturday, December the 6th, 2014.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Probably moved in second. Any questions on any of the items, Mr. Edmondson?
Ms. Barnes, I have a question on Resolution 2014-316 regarding the landfill rates.
Yes.
Could you elaborate on compliance with OCGA 12856? The intent of this is us giving up our right to set rates.
Yes, because the state law gives that responsibility, that duty and power to the Solid Waste Management Authority instead of the Board of Commissioners. And I believe the Board of Commissioners approved the landfill rates several years ago, and this will restore that right and authorization to the Solid Waste Management Authority to set their rates.
Well, if state law allows them, then why would this resolution need to exist?
It is essentially to make sure that whatever rates this Board of Commissioners approved in the past are wiped clean.
Have Jeff Matarko come.
Was the previous board acting illegally?
I would not say that. It just may have been improper.
Got a question for
I was not involved in the board's decision to set the rates back in 2006. I'm not sure if they got if the board at that time got some input from the Solid Waste Management Authority. I do know that the former T&D director, Wayne Patterson, was involved. So I wouldn't say that the board acted improperly, but that power is designated to the Solid Waste Management Authority.
Now, are they allowed to let's say that we didn't approve this resolution tonight for some reason, what would happen?
I would check with the Solid Waste Management Authority to see if they were interested in possibly delegating that power to this Board of Commissioners, but otherwise, it, per state law, is a power that they control.
Are they allowed to delegate if they so choose?
I would have to go back and look. That's just an option that I thought of. I'd have to go back and check on that.
Mr. Martarco, can you tell the board about the discussion from the Solid Waste Authority meeting that we had about the rates and the issues that we have regarding funding?
Same conversations as last year, right?
I wasn't there last year.
Conversations
But I
last
think
year,
they,
Ms.
I
Matar?
think,
Yeah, but
I
we're
think a
trying to
number,
address it now.
I think a number of the members on the board would agree that they were having, you guys had that conversation last year.
These are some example pictures of what we're dealing with at the landfill right now. These are great items that we brought forward to the Solid Waste Management Authority concerning the limitations we have to operate the landfill and try to make money as an enterprise fund. The stipulations that were set forth several years ago stipulated a pickup truck in a certain rate. And we desire, as you can see from these photos, the definition of a pickup truck has grown considerably. So we asked the Solid Waste Authority to give us the authority to make that pickup truck go over the scales to make sure we are getting our just fees for the amount of trash that they're disposing. And in our research, it was actually approved by the Board of Commissioners several years ago, setting the rate for a pickup truck. So that's what brought this forward to how do we correct that so operationally we could have these vehicles go over the scales and be weighed appropriately instead of a flat rate,
And the flat rate is what?
$15.
$15. So the picture that you showed us today, approximately how much would this person pay?
Oh, it's probably at least double that.
Okay.
And people have been getting away because it stipulates a pickup truck. And as you can see, the pickup truck's now probably 20 feet tall.
Right.
And the amount of trash it's bringing into the landfill. And that wasn't, I believe, the
The
original
intent.
intent way back in the day when the rate was set as a pickup load for $15.
So, my concern is this: the county is obligated for the bonded debt. We're debt servicing that out of general fund. We sold that phase of the landfill to the prison group a year ago, and now we're having to offset the cost of dirt from general fund. Plus, it's been operating at a loss for at least, the last 3 or 4 years. Since legal didn't have any participation and nobody knows whether or not the previous Solid Waste Authority delegated that or not, or whether it was done properly or improperly, I'm concerned that by giving up the ability to set these rates but still being on the obligation for whatever losses, that there may be a loss of responsibility between the revenues and the expenses with the landfill. Couldn't this issue been also addressed by bringing forth a proposed set of rates for this board to consider?
I believe there was a number of different ways to go about this. This recommendation came from the Solid Waste Management Authority that this is the way they chose to handle it. I believe at the last Solid Waste Authority meeting, it was discussed with council about just enacting new rates. And it was the recommendation of council to try to clear this up is to address, since there is comments in previous minutes, setting rates is to go ahead and wipe the slate clean and let the powers be vested as they are given to the Solid Waste Authority to set those rates.
Okay. I'm not comfortable with that since we're on the hook for all their losses.
My concern is, and I know we cannot legislate behavior, but the higher you set the rates, I believe the refuse control picks up quite a bit of trash along the roadways now. That's my concern, and I do recognize we cannot legislate behavior, but I'm afraid that if you rate increase would probably cause more people not to use it and not to pay and dump it wherever on Grant Road. So, just kidding.
Although the power rests with the Solid Waste Authority, from the last meeting we had, there was no intent that they displayed on raising the rates. This was purely a get our just due on how much money we should be collecting for the amount of trash we're bringing in. We're not raising the rate, we're just asking them to get weighed on the scale appropriately and pay their just due based off of their gate rate of $40 a ton.
And the amount of trash that they're bringing
Yeah,
in.
and I
Yes, sir.
agree. I agree with that. I agree it should be done, but again, I guess that's just my little concern. I understand what you're saying, charging them according to that amount, but any type of increase, whereas this person was paying $20 or pickup truckload, and now he's going to 40 or 50.
But the other part of that is that we're funding this landfill out of general fund, and when we met, we were trying to come up with ways to offset that. I know there's been, you guys have talked about it ad nauseum for years about what to do with the landfill. And so this was one way to cure some of the issues that we would have instead of coming to the general fund to pay for this. So I thought it was a good idea when Mr. Matarco presented it to us that we do that. And for those who don't know, the vice chairman and the chairman sits on that board, and that person will rotate next year. But we are bleeding, so we needed to come up with some way when people are not getting over by bringing what appears to be 3 truckloads in one truck to the landfill.
And the landfill has been losing money for years, not just last couple of years, but for several years. And I think we are simply trying to mitigate some of this craziness with the height requirements. Now, a pickup truck is still going to be a pickup truck, so they just have to make 2 or 3 more trips as opposed to stacking it all, trying to dump it at one time. So it's not keeping them from dumping it and having a truckload. But this right here is just out of control. So we were trying to do something to be able to account for the loss of revenue that we're getting because of this.
And I understand that, Mr. Chairman. I do have a question, and I guess to Mr. Matarco and you and Vice Chair, since you're all sitting right now. Can we track this, if this passes? Can you track that to see if any changes? I don't mean to overwork your staff even more, but can they track this if the Solid Waste Management Board votes to, to change how we are charging or whatever? Can you track it just to see if there's any difference in the usage or?
I'll give you my commitment that we'll try to figure out a way to do that. If there is a plausible way, we'll see what we can do to get our arms around it.
I definitely understand that landfill situation.
So back to my point, this issue could be addressed in a number of different ways. An alternative method would be for the Solid Waste Authority, Management Authority, to recommend a change to the policies and the pricings of trucks and mandating that they go over, as opposed to us relinquishing our presumed delegated authority to approve this. I mean, we could do it that way without giving up control of the pricing.
I think the issue was the board.
Just get her to answer that real quick, and then you can have it.
Well, it's hard for me to say what your options are without knowing definitely whether the Solid Waste Management Authority is able to delegate that particular power to you. Without knowing that for certain, I would need to check that out.
You said, Ms. Matarka, you said there were several ways this could be addressed. The way they chose was this way. Was that way also considered?
There were several ways discussed in the meeting, resounding around the principle that they had the authority to set the rates. That's pretty clear in the statute. This is the way they chose upon council's recommendation to try to make it as clear as possible about what this intent is.
And the reality is, the public knows what is printed and what was authorized by the Board of Commissioners. So the problem that was explained to us is when residents are able to go back and say, well, the Board of Commissioners approved this at $20 a truck. How can you, the Solid Waste Authority, go against what the Board of Commissioners has said? So to clean that up is why we were repealing or attempting to repeal what the Board of Commissioners approved in 2006. It's because the public knows what was published for the rates.
And I understand the intent of that. I'm not disagreeing with the intent of that. And if we weren't debt servicing and buying dirt and paying for operations and staff and everything else, I would say let them do it. It's theirs. But we're bankrolling this thing, and what this resolution does is it takes any discretion or authority that may or may not have been delegated to us in the past without knowing whether it was properly or improperly delegated, and gives that up. So going forward, the public's going to say, why are you spending $1 million or $2 million a year on that landfill? And we're going to say, well, we don't have any say-so in the matter. And maybe we could have. And I don't think that's a good way to look at it either.
Yeah, I think that's different.
How so? Right now, we set the rates, and we're bankrolling the losses.
But I do believe
With
that.
this resolution, we're going to be not setting the rates and still bankrolling it.
But state statute says that this authority, the board has that authority to set the rates.
That may or may not have been delegated years ago under different legal counsel through due process, when the then chairman and vice chairman sat on that board and this board. She doesn't know the answer. We haven't done the homework.
Let's just pull it, and we could bring it back at the next meeting, but what I think is going to happen is this state statute says that we are not the ones supposed to set this rate, but so that we have all T's crossed and I's dotted, I think that probably would.
Would you like to amend the motion? Who made the
I
motion?
didn't make the motion.
I'll amend the motion to remove Resolution 2014-316 from consideration.
I'll second it.
Properly moved in second. Those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Any other questions in reference to the remaining items?
I do have a question on
Commissioner Hamburg.
322 regarding IT, excuse me, information and technology. Who is Mooncrest and Quest, and what will they be doing for the IT section?
That's-
Okay.
Take the podium, please.
Who is this for?
Take the podium.
For the finance.
It's for, Commissioner Hamburg, it's for the Finance Department's maintenance of the AS400 system.
Oh, okay. Because I was wondering who would
No,
be
it's for
working
the-
for IT when
No,
IT gets
it's
it.
for the
Okay.
Finance Department maintenance of the AS400 system
Okay.
and the financial software.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions?
I have a follow-up question, just curiosity. Does anybody in our IT department write COBOL? You can just say yes or no.
We have that skill set, but it's not been used in years.
Which is why we have to
tell
have
how
the.
old
I have one
you
last
are.
question. Is anybody in the IT department, were they born when COBOL was first invented?
He's trying not to tell you how old he is, Mike.
Never mind. No, don't have to answer that.
All right, any other questions? Hearing none, those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we need an executive session for personnel and litigation.
We have 4 board term expirations, upcoming expirations. Items 19 and 20 are for the Civil Service Board. We have the expiring term of Mr. Bega Asagi. This is a full board appointment. We also have Dr. Cephas Jackson.
Okay.
This also was a full board appointment. Are there any nominations?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like to appoint or nominate Ms. Virginia Hall for the board appointment, Civil Service Board, in the place of Mr. Ojike.
I'll second.
Probably,
I have a question. Go ahead.
probably moved in second. Those in favor, aye.
No.
Oh, any questions?
Yes.
Okay.
We have post, so I thought the post didn't stand for districts. Post 1, 2, 3, 4, and then district, and then post 5 is chairman. That's not what that means.
Full service.
No, ma'am.
It's a full board.
Ms. Bright might be able to speak to this, but it's depending on how that board member comes to be. I think there's one that's appointed by or voted on by employees. There are positions that the board appoints
Ms. Bright?
Yes. There are two that are elected by the civil service protected employees, covered employees. There are two that are appointed by the full Board of Commissioners, and then one's appointed by the constitutional officers.
Okay.
Any other questions? Those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous. I would also like to take this time to reappoint Dr. Cephas Jackson.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any questions? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
For the Board of Elections, we have Ms. Patricia Puller, and this is Commissioner Gregory's appointment.
Mr. Chair, I move to reappoint Ms. Pilar.
Second.
Probably moved and second. Any questions? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
We also have Mr. Harry Osborne. This is Commissioner Edmondson's appointment.
Madam Clerk, I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Mr. Harry Osborne.
I'll second it.
Properly moved and second. Any questions? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
The final item on the agenda tonight is to accept the streetlight petition addition to existing streetlight district Timberlake subdivision. That's for Timberlake Drive, Carlton Road, and Pond Ridge Drive. This is Council District 3, Commissioner Rooks. This is your district.
Commissioner
Is there a motion?
Rooks.
It is. I move to accept.
Second.
Probably moved and second. Those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.
If there's no further business, we did have a request to go into executive session for personnel and litigation.
It's a motion. Go into executive session.
So moved.
I'll second it. Properly moved and second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Motion to reconvene.
I move to reconvene.
Second.
Probably moved and second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Ms. Barnes?
Mr. Chairman, I have resolution number 2014-324, which is a resolution authorizing the county to enter into a settlement agreement settling all claims set forth in the matters involving Mardravius O.B. versus Alan Smithwick in his individual capacity, to authorize the chairman to execute the agreement and otherwise perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, all as may be required under the terms of the settlement agreement, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes.
Do I have a motion?
I move to accept.
Second.
Probably moved and second. Any questions? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Yes.
I have one item requesting to permission or authority to provide an increase for Chief Landry Murkison to a grade 39, step 10. But I do need to request some input as far as what the effective date would be on this increase.
When's the next pay period?
Next pay period.
What about the end of the?
Do we need to have a motion in a second before we discuss it?
Yes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Probably moved and second. Any questions or discussion? You were saying,
I would say make it effective at the end of the probation period.
what's the date of the probation?
That would have been November the 5th, 2014.
That's the usual.
I have a question. From a payroll standpoint, does it make a difference if it's November 5th or January 1st, since we're so close to the end of the year?
They know what they're doing.
If it's effective November the 5th, there would be some back pay that would be.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but at the end of the probationary period, the following pay period is when you actually get your raise.
Now, you get your raise at the effective date of the promotion.
You just don't see
Now,
it
we're
till
talking about
next-
probationary period, which is not, because we don't have any raises.
Oh, you're talking about a merit increase.
Yes, because and
We
this is
have
not a
merit.
merit increase, we're just adjusting his pay. So it's not really contingent on on the end of his probationary period. Correct?
That's correct.
So it would be my recommendation just to adjust it to the next pay period coming out.
In our discussions, we said we would give him through his probationary period.
And then we'll bring it back to the board and discuss
And
it.
then staying with that, I still would recommend that we do it upon the probationary period, which if the 5th, then whatever the next pay period would be, which is the question I think you asked. I can see that. And the next pay period would have been, what's the next pay period after the
19.
5th?
Fifth is actually in the middle of a pay period.
But what the next,
So the next pay period would have been the last paycheck we just got right before Thanksgiving. So November 21st.
well, I would say that pay,
All right.
So we'll have one pay period of back pay.
right.
Is that,
It'd be two, wouldn't it? It would start on a-
Can we just say the pay period effective after, the first pay period effective after the end of the probation and let them worry about the calendar?
Agree.
Whether it's the 21st
we'd
or
have to amend
22nd?
the motion?
'cause
Well,
that,
no, we didn't have.
that wouldn't be correct, because we get paid for the work you did 2 weeks prior, correct?
Yes.
So it would have to be the last pay period,
The last pay, we got paid last week.
right?
That's for the pay period ending on November 21st, 22nd. I can't remember if it's on a Friday or Saturday when it ends. But it was the week prior to payday is when our pay period ends. So the next pay period will end this week because we get paid again next week. So November 5th was in the middle of yeah, it was in the no, it wasn't in the middle of the pay period. We got paid that week.
Yeah.
For the work prior to that, 2
Mhm.
weeks.
Yeah.
So
So
it
for instance, the week that we get paid is for the prior 2 weeks.
I agree with what Commissioner Edmondson said.
Just
Just let
as
you
the
all
last
figure out
one.
the date, but let it be the following pay period after the probation.
Probationary period.
We're only talking days and weeks anyways. I mean,
Well,
this-
amend your motion.
I amend my motion to approve the increase in step and grade effective with the first pay cycle after the end of this probationary period.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Now we need to vote on the original motion to allow him the increase. We've had a motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions on that? All right, hearing none, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second it. Properly moved and second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Have a good evening.